Hi everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I'd like to talk to you about Stranger Things. Yes, I know it came out like a year ago and I know it was fantastic and blah blah blah. The point is that, well, Halloween's around the corner and the second season's going to be released. So now seems like a good time to give you some of my thoughts about season 1. Essentially, if you're watching this, you've already seen the show, or if you haven't watched it, go watch it because it's a fantastic show, especially if you're a fan of anything to do with the 80s. If you're about my age, grew up with 80s television, 80s movies, you like Stephen King or any of that sort of thing, this is the show for you. It does this interesting thing where, say, Ghostbusters, Groundhog's Day, Goonies, any movie you can think of or any TV show that you can think of that still holds up today, like you'll sit back and you'll watch it even, like you might say, oh, those effects aren't fantastic, but the story itself still holds up. Stranger Things captures that essence. And it's, I think part of what does that is that they've channeled shows like this. They've taken shows that we're familiar with, they're using a language we're familiar with, and they're playing in that sandbox. So we get great, fantastic child actors playing in this very Stephen King-y universe. I mean, this whole season is pretty much an homage to Stephen King and his great glory. Some of the other things I like about what makes this work is, as weird and as strange as things get, it's still grounded in a reality. What I mean by this is, often when we see shows with kids in it, when the kids go off to be by themselves, they don't really act the way kids do. I mean, I know for a fact, having been one of these snot-nosed kids, know that as soon as my parents weren't around, I was free to say F this, or cuss, or what have you, or act out in a way. You act out in a way that you wouldn't act when adults are around. And the kids in this TV show do the exact same thing. Another thing that's really interesting about it is it's really brought to us by the point of view of the kids. We start off the show with the kids playing Dungeons and Dragons. And as the series progresses, that lens is still being cast over the show. And what's interesting about that is that that's their world. And in a way, you could make an argument that maybe things are metaphorical or maybe they're not. So that it's probably literal. But it does lend itself to analyzing it in a very metaphorical kind of way, and that these monsters, the Demogorgon, is not a Demogorgon, and that the government is not really doing into interdimensional experiments, and that it's actually something grounded in an everyday happening that's like a social critique. What I like about it is, as I was saying, is that as we continue on, they don't drop the Dungeons and Dragons analogies and how it is. Like, their way of describing everything is through that lens, and that's what makes it personal and easy to connect to even as an adult, because as an adult we can relate to when we were kids, to how we would look at the world in that same way, and how when you are immersed in something and you're engrossed in something, your world gets colored by that. So if it's D&D, a lot of things will be compared to D&D. If you were a Star Wars fan, you'll relate to things through Star Wars. Whatever your fandom is, you will relate to the world around you through that lens. And so it's kind of nice to see that these kids do the same thing. It's another way that the TV show is grounded in reality. My dog's walking around. Click, 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 click. Hey, puppy. Okay, go lay down. Anyways, have you seen Stranger Things? What did you think of it? Season 2 is about to drop. What do you hope happens in Season 2? Do we think that we're going to see Eleven become more badass? And what about Will? He's been clearly affected by the Upside Down. Do we think that he's going to be a harbinger for the Upside Down? Should Will be even trusted? Did Will even come back? Anyways, let me know in the comments below, and I will see you later.